Hey guys, with us figuring out who are the best teams in the game and making a tier list, we can now confidently establish a tier list for individual characters as well, and that's what we're gonna do right here. There are a lot of characters in this game, so let's start off right away. We will start off with Marcus. He is a main DPS. He is not truly really viable, but he has his niche at least. He has his place. He is the main DPS of the so-called rank up team surrounding Anali, Argus and Via, and so that prevents him from being F tier, and we move him up to the D tier because while he is not one of the best DPS characters in the game, to say it at least, he has his niche, he has his place and his team around him. That's why we put him in D. Let's just pick the next character. That is Lilia. She goes into the F tier. And to be honest, she barely even made this list. She is a pretty respectable DPS character for beginners though, and she kind of has her place in this follow-up attack team, is outclassed by a billion other characters in that category. So you would really honestly never ever even play her to begin with, as I said, you have thousands of characters that you would always every day of the week choose over Lilia. So yeah, she barely even made it onto this list, but I think F tier is alright. Then next up, who do we have? Oops, excuse me, my bad. We have Centurion. Now with her getting her Euphoria in version 3.0, she becomes quite a respectable main DPS character. The problem and the question surrounding her was, will she be better than Recoleta or not? And the answer is no, Recoleta is better than her. And that does not qualify Centurion for a higher rank than C. Because, let me explain here something real quick. If you are a character that makes it into the S or A tier, you pretty much are bound to have to be played and be part of one of the best teams in the game. Like, you have to be top 2, maybe top 3. Some characters make it into these tiers. But if you don't belong to one of the 2 best or 3 teams in the game, you will have a really hard time getting into the S or A rank here. That's just as the quick explainer. And with that being said, we are now talking about Ezra, and Ezra can be, although it's not recommended, can be slotted into the best team in the entire game in version 3.0. And she is not a true must-have character for the Dynamo team anymore, because she was mainly here to boost the electric field to level 3. That can now be done by Sharon. So you could, if you wanted, in theory, slot in another healer into this Dynamo team. But nonetheless, Ezra is still by far the best in slot for the second best team in the entire game. That has a very, very high chance of actually becoming the best team in the game. And if you are the best in slot healer in such a team, then, as I just explained, you must have a very, very high ranking. Ezra though doesn't make it quite into our S tier, but I think A is still, even though Sharon released it, it's still fair to put Ezra into this A tier. Then next up we have Anionala. Anionala will also be placed into our D tier because she belongs to the follow-up archetype, and that archetype is already filled with many other better options, be it Geo, be it Pickles. You know, the point is, she is not a best in slot in one of the best teams in the game, and even as a substitute there are better substitutes for the follow-up team than Anionala would be, such as, for example, Liang Yue. Now Liang Yue suffers like pretty much the same problem as Anionala. She is a little bit better than Anionala, but she requires her portrait number 1, and she is a true limited, and also doesn't belong as a best in slot in one of the best teams in the game. So also a pretty niche character, and therefore I can't place her higher than D either. Alright, let's talk about Ulrich. And yeah, I will put him straight into the S tier. That is the sub DPS for the Dynamo Archetype team. That's either the or the second best team in the entire game. He's irreplaceable. He won't be replaced for a very long time, no matter what. So yeah, this is now one of the best characters in the entire game. Belongs to one of the best teams in the game, and those are the characters that the S tier is made for. Especially if someone is in one of the best teams and he can't be replaced. That is like, it doesn't get more valuable than this, right? So then we have Jessica, excuse me. She is a C tier. She has her best in slot in, yeah, a team that is barely meta. It's a little bit niche, but it's up there. And she has a best in slot in there, in this poison team. So C is pretty respectable and pretty fair here. Okay, then we have Anan Lee. Yeah, I think I don't need to explain much here. That is for sure an F tier. Like, yeah, she has her place in this niche rank up team together with Marcus. And she can also be played in an ultimate archetype team with Noah. But yeah, every place that those are in fact her only two places. Those places are not the best places to be in, and yeah, she's not slottable. She doesn't have anything going for her other than these two niche teams that barely anyone ever plays or should ever play. And yeah, she makes it onto this list just because she has these two niche places. If it would be just one of them, she wouldn't even be here. So yeah, I mean, she can be quite happy to be in the F tier, all things considered. Next up we have Jiu. Now that is a little bit of an interesting one because she is not part of one of the top 3 teams in the game. She is ranked number 4, right? So she wouldn't logically deserve an S or A tier ranking, you might say, which is kind of a reasonable thing to assume, but she is the 3rd best main DPS character in this game. She belongs to the follow-up team, which is rank 4. She synergizes so incredibly well with characters like Fatutu and Flutterpage. I mean, that deserves a whole bunch of respect. And even though she doesn't belong to the top 3 teams in the game, she is rank 4 and the 3rd best main DPS character in the game. And I mean, I have to put her in A, right? If you see what I put in B, that wouldn't be fair to put Jiu in there as well. So there we go. Jiu, you made it. Congratulations. Then we have Mrs. Bubble, and that breaks my heart a little bit because I love Mrs. Bubble, but I have to put her in D. While yeah, her flexibility, her slot ability is still very great. Every single team profits from shields that don't even take up AP, and she's a little bit of a tank with her ultimate, right? She has her niche team with this burn team with Jay, together with Jay, that can clear some content here and there, but in version 3.0 she doesn't hold up anymore. In the thing that makes her so great, which is her shielding, she's now outclassed by Kiparina. The burn team, you use Jay to have a beast afflatus character that can deal a lot of damage, and we now in version 3.0 we have Centurion with her Euphoria and Muldia, and all of these things combined, they drop Mrs. Bubble's viability a whole lot. I do not put her in F because of her great slot ability and this little tiny niche that she has, right? But yeah, her slot ability is really what saves her from the F tier, even though she's outclassed by a character like Kiparina. Then we have Lopera, that is also in D tier. Unfortunately, Lopera loses her best in slot for the ultimate archetype team very soon, even from version 2.8 8, and then in version 3.0 things get even worse, because we get Muldir, which is better than Lopera, and we get Getian, who's even better than Muldir. So yeah, Lopera barely usable, has her slot, has her substitute spot still, kind of. Like a lot of people will not get their hands onto Muldir because they will get broke in version 2.7 and from Nautica. So that's why I give a little bit of credit to Lopera still, and she also is quite strong individually, right? It wouldn't be fair to put her into the same tier as I would put Lilia. So yeah, lucky Lopera, but soon, probably, maybe even already in version 3.1, she will drop to the F tier, and the F tier will drop away from this list. We gotta see. For now, I think D is fair for Lopera. Then we have Voyager, and yeah, that is an impromptu character. Now, what's interesting about her is that you now could make that A. She deserves A, right? That's like the best in slot for the impromptu sub DPS slot. Boom, that's immediately an A tier. Now you could make the argument though that Regulus is a tiny little bit better than Voyager. So Voyager should drop to B, and you put Regulus into the A tier. I mean, yeah, that is true, but the difference between these two is so minimal. So, like, you can argue even it barely even exists, let's be honest. So I can't put an impromptu character like Voyager that is the sub DPS in B tier, but she is, I mean, you could make an argument, right? She is replaceable and maybe even a little bit outclassed is a strong word, but Regulus is a little bit better. So if you want to put her in B, absolutely no problem, but for me she will remain in this A tier. Okay, then we have Mercuria, which her placement I can already see is a little bit controversial, but I will put her in C tier. And yeah, she loses her viability. Like if we look like right now, and then even in version 2.8, right, with her having the actual best in slot in this Dynamo team, but this tier list is about version 3.0, where like we have characters like Muldir, and especially Sharon takes away her best in slot in the Dynamo team, and that drops her viability like very substantially, but she's still individually such a great character. There's no team where you could not slot her in. No team hates her, right? But she doesn't have her best in slot anymore anywhere, so using her would be defined as kinda niche. So yeah, especially Sharon, like okay, I could see that if you don't like this Sharon argument very much, to maybe put her in B, I would be fine by that. But like as I said, when do you ever would use her like realistically, you know, for the best in slot? There is no space, no Blood Ember, no Dynamo anymore because of Sharon. You can't put her into impromptu. She doesn't have her best in slot anywhere anymore, but she remains one of the best slottable characters in the game, and that's why she's not D or F, right? That's why she is C, because of her slottability. But yeah, if you want to build one of the best teams in the game, you have no use for Mercuria anymore in 3.0, and that's why she's in C. Then we have Flutterpage. That's again a very respectable character, just like GU is. If we talk about supports and their damage output, then Flutterpage is probably the number one. She is the core in the follow-up attack team. She has the best synergy in the game together with a character like Fatutu, you know. She's a very good team that is rank 4, and she individually is just an absolute monster of a character. Just like GU, you know. They are maybe not in one of the best teams in the game, not top 3 at least, but they are individually so good, and in their role you would rank them so incredibly high that A is absolutely justified here. We can move on to, oops, my bad, to Recoleta, which is our first B tier. She is in the 5th best team in the game. She is there as the best in slot, main DPS character, and that's already it, right? That's one of the best main DPS characters in the game. That's top 5. Respectable. Her team is also in the top 5, you know. She has very, very good teammates, and that's why she is B. Then we have Aleph, which, yeah, he goes where this impromptu team is, and that is an A tier. Best in slot and the 3rd best team in the game. Is future proof. He won't be replaced anytime soon. He is incredible. Like, he cannot be replaced in his spot. And his spot is the best in slot in the 3rd best team in the game, and so he has to be A. There's no way around it. For S, it's obviously not enough. Wait until the S tier is filled and then you will probably understand. Next up we have Via. That's another character that barely even made this list. Now the healer role as a whole is a little bit lackluster, so we need slot-ins, because teams like, for example, the ultimate team or the impromptu team, like, they don't have healers, right? So we really highly profit from having healers at our disposal that are a little bit slottable, and that's what saves Via from completely dropping from this list. Also, she has her niche teams with this Marcus team, and she synergizes quite well with Windsong as well. Those are not the best places to be in. Her healing output is very lackluster. She has to be played with characters that deal mental damage. You know, it's so specific, it's all so niche, and yeah. She also, just like Lilia and Annalie, can be happy that she actually made it into this F tier. So let's talk about Windsong, because I just mentioned her, and that is also an easy F tier. Like, nothing about Windsong is good anymore. She is, from all the main DPS characters in this game that are a little bit worth at least talking about, she is probably the worst. Like, okay, Lilia is even worse, but you know what I mean. And like, where do you would ever put her? Why would you even ever play her? Even her Afflatus is really, really bad. If you play star Afflatus characters to gain the Afflatus advantage, you play impromptu or follow-up stuff. Like, Windsong really barely even has a niche, you know? It's individually, like, not the complete worst. Same kind of a little bit like Lilia, but also, she can be very, very happy that she even made it onto this list, because her viability is like almost non-existent. Then we have Medicine Pocket, who I will put into the B tier. Now, okay, that is, yeah, a best in slot in the best team, but individually, he or she, whatever it is, like, he is not it. He is barely slottable, and if we would definitely replace him in the Blood Tide team and play something else instead of him. The problem is, as I mentioned, with like other healers as well, the healer role as a whole is lackluster. No one is really crushing it, yeah, except for one character that I will mention and talk about later, but yeah, Medicine Pocket is absolutely not it. We would replace him with, like, it is Fatutu. We would replace him with Fatutu. We can even replace him with Astra, right? If you see, we need Fatutu for the follow-up team. That's why Fatutu isn't in this team. We need Astra for the Dynamo, and that's why Astra is not in this Blood Tide team. And that's the reason why Medicine Pocket is there. So yeah, very, very lackluster as an individual. I can't put him in A or S, even though he belongs to the best team in the game. I just can't do it. Okay, then moving on, let's fill this F tier even further with a character like Argus. It's like, again, she belongs into this one singular team that is based around Marcus. Marcus is D tier, Marcus is not it. She is not even a 100% must play in this team, has the little niche, is quite good as an individual character, and that's why she made it onto this list because of her individual power and because she has this niche team around her, but can also be happy to even be put into this F tier. Then we have a character like Six, that is the definition of a D tier, is very left behind. When we look at other supports, there are so many better supports than the character 6 right now. Though he is very slottable, no team hates him, he's always doing his job, he cleanses those debuffs, he increases the damage output a little bit. You know, he is like, his kit is just good. It's like the definition of a support. He buffs, he cleanses, he debuffs the enemy, he provides a little bit of damage even to the team and stuff. So he's useful mainly due to him giving incantation might to one of your allies and cleansing those debuffs. But in the grand scheme of things, if we look at the full picture, this guy is just way too outclassed by way too many other very good characters, and that's why he's D, right? He's not F because very versatile, can be slotted into every single team, and he has this cleansing ability. Okay, now it's time to address a god, really. There's no other way to put it, and that is Fatutu. Fatutu is, you can argue, even in version 3.0, is the best character in this game. I personally would now give it to Nautica if we talk about the best character in the game, but I mean, Fatutu is top 2, top 3 easily, and she gaps like everyone in so many different things. She has the best damage spread in the entire game. She's the best healer in the entire game. She's the best debuff cleanser in the entire game. She's the core part in the follow-up team. She has so much great synergy with other god characters such as Jiu and like Flutterpage, you know? Fatutu really, spoiler alert, gaps everyone so goddamn hard. There will be no other healer in this S tier. Fatutu is the only one that takes that slot because she's one of, if not the best character in the entire game. It depends on how you want to look at it, right? If you want to look at like main DPS characters and put a lot of value onto damage, sure, it's Nautica, but if you look at the healer, and maybe even you can even combine support and healer and look at all of those characters there, Fatutu gaps everyone there in like many different ways and things. So that's why I cannot put the next character, which is Caparina. She is also like there. She's not a healer, right? She's a support, but in the team, in this impromptu team that she is played in, she takes the healer spot. So she's here for survivability and for the sustain and providing bulk due to shields to her team. And the reason why I can't put, she's the core, she's the reason why impromptu is third place, right? If we look at it like that, then Caparina would, in theory, belong to the S tier, but she doesn't because Fatutu is there. And Fatutu is better in every single way, right? Like the only thing that Caparina does better is shielding. Fatutu doesn't even shield. If Fatutu would provide shields, Fatutu would provide better shields than Caparina. That's just how cracked Fatutu is. I cannot put, the point here is, right? I cannot put a character in the same tier as Fatutu when they belong to the same role. It would be completely nonsense and wrong. And that's why Caparina is quote unquote only in the A tier, okay? I mean, again, this is only the third best team in the game, and then they are so cracked thanks to Caparina that they can be happy to be in the A and not in the B tier, right? Just saying. And there we go. Then next up we should talk about Semmelweis. Now, that is an S tier character. For the exact same reason for Ulrich. They are both very strong. They both belong to the very best teams in the entire game. They are irreplaceable sub-DPSs when it comes to their team. Ulrich is the partner in crime, as I call them, for the second best main DPS character in the game, and Semmelweis is the partner in crime for the best character in the entire game. Both are irreplaceable, and yeah, that's how you define an S tier in my book. So then let's talk about Lucy real quick. Guess where Lucy belongs? That's the second best main DPS character in the game. She belongs to the second, if not the best team, together with Sharon in this entire game. So yeah, again, that's the definition of an S tier here. Alright, now let's, since we like established what the tier list is about, what characters are ranked in what ranks and what defines the ranks, let's speed up things here a little bit. So let's talk about the entire Poison team and put them all in C. They are, in my opinion, the 6th best team in the game, so they all belong into the C tier. They don't quite make it B, because this tier belongs, as you see, like to Medicine Pocket, part of the best team in the game. The ultimate archetype will be here for the most part, so yeah, the Poison team is not quite on that level, so they have to be ranked in C, because B is reserved for ultimate archetypes and other characters there. Now, Sotheby, I could see an argument for Sotheby to be placed into the B tier, because yeah, she also has her spot in a respectable team, but she's slottable. If you would miss a healer for any team, you can put in Sotheby, and Sotheby will get the job done there and is a very, very good standalone character, other than like Willow or Tuesday, for example, right? But yeah, the place where she truly belongs is with that Poison team. And yeah, I mean, that's about it. No other team really profits from that Poison, and she would only be the healer, but her thing is Poison, so she belongs where the Poison team is. It's really as simple as that. Then we have Muldia. She also kind of belongs to this ultimate archetype team. She is also very, very slottable, and the thing that makes her better than the characters in C tier is that she is a Beast Afflatus character that deals a whole bunch of damage, and we still need those characters, even though we have Centurion. Centurion in her spot is outclassed. You would always rather play Recollector, and then having a Muldia though that gives AP plus, is AP friendly, and counter attacks with her ultimate as a Beast Afflatus, that is very, very respectable. Don't sleep on Muldia. I see quite a bunch of people underestimating Muldia, because yeah, I mean, there's a good reason for that, right? There's a reason she's B tier, why she doesn't have her best in slot and so on and so forth, but she's very, very slottable, she's very versatile, and she has a very, very good Afflatus, the counter attack with ultimate, you know, I said it all. So yeah, don't sleep on Muldia. Let's fill this B tier up a little bit more by talking about Geltian. He belongs to the ultimate archetype as well. He will take the best in slot in this team, even from low para, and his damage output is also quite insane. Then we have Pickles, that is another character for the B tier. Now, what Pickles is a little bit lucky in this matter, because yeah, he has the best in slot for the follow-up team, which is an insane team with you, Flutterpage, Fatutu, right? All high-ranked characters, and he even can support Recollector in case you would miss a character for the team that you play Recollector in. Pickles is a viable substitute here, and that is why Pickles belongs to a very, very high rank. He's not on an A level because he is so dependent on this mineral Afflatus main DPS. And yeah, what makes him lucky is that he can support GU, is the best character for GU, and viable for Recollector as well. Now another F tier with Jay. I already talked about him quite a bit. He's this burn archetype, which is trash. He is only good together with Mrs. Bubble. He is very, very niche, one of the worst main DPS characters in the entire game. A little bit better than Lilia, I would give him that credit at least, yeah, and he is quite viable, you would say, if you need a Beast Afflatus in Reveries and in the Voyages, but again, like, we're talking about version 3.0, and here we have Centurion and Muldia, and that fact makes Jay even worse than he already was. Okay, now let's rank the rest of the Blood Ember team. Nautica, I don't need to say anything. That is, you can argue that is the best character in the entire game, so yeah, let's just move on, right? Everyone knows why Nautica is where she is, and no one would possibly argue that is not the case. Then we have Eternity though, which kind of falls off a cliff here. She loses her spot as the best in slot in the Blood Ember team because of the release of Sentinel. She is not a good standalone character. She cannot be played anywhere. Whenever you would play her in a different team, you would hurt that team even. So that would be negative value. The only place where she belongs is that Blood Ember team, and she's heavily outclassed there right now because of Sentinel. So yeah, that drops her off of a cliff. Like, could even put her in F tier. But the fact that she will most likely be used by a lot of players in the Blood Ember team, that saves her into the D tier, right? I think that's absolutely fair. It's the perfect place for her. So yeah, Sentinel is in the A tier because she's not S, because she is replaceable by Eternity. She's not this irreplaceable must-have no matter what character like an Ulrich or Semmelweis is. So I can't put Sentinel into the same tier as all these other characters. That would not be fair. That wouldn't make any sense, because all of those characters here are irreplaceable must-haves no matter what. Sentinel is not on that level because Eternity exists. Sorry. Then we have Regulus. Yeah, that is also of course an A tier. You always would put Regulus where Voyager is. You could make an argue, right? Who's better of them? I would say it's probably Regulus is going to be a little bit better. So you could drop down Voyager. Maybe you think Voyager is a little bit better than Regulus, so you would drop down Regulus into the B tier, you know? Yeah, I think the best thing here to do is to just put them into the same rank. Honestly, whoever is a little bit better doesn't matter, right? They are both quite on the same level, so they belong into the same tier. And then last but not least, who do we have here left? Carcania. Alright, let's talk about Carcania. That's of course an easy placement, because where does she belong? She belongs to the Poison team. The entire Poison team is in C, so this is where Carcania also belongs. Now yeah, Carcania, same as for Sotheby, they are both pretty good slottable characters, but yeah, Carcania is not even the best in slot anymore. She kind of uses this to Jessica, but her viability is not hurt too much by that, as she's still a very good substitute for this team in case you would face content where you would need to increase your survivability with this Poison team, and then you can replace Jessica with Carcania. That's still a very valuable thing, and Carcania is quite slottable in general as well. So yeah, like, she belongs where the Poison team is, and that is in C. Now Melania is a little bit of an interesting story. Of course, the entire Ultimate Archetype team is here in B, so that is where Melania belongs. Now Melania is a little bit different because she is like the only true irreplaceable must-have character for this Ultimate Archetype team, and she's also very slottable. You know, she provides extra moxie to every character because she applies this passion drain. And that is super valuable, and that is also very slottable and just very good. So I could see an argument for putting her into the A tier, but for me, I wouldn't ever play, and I would never recommend to anyone to play Melania outside of this Ultimate Archetype team, and probably even don't play Melania without Recoleta. And so these two, they belong together, and that's why they belong into the same tier, and that's why I put Melania into B. If you want to put her in A though, totally fine, go for it. I wouldn't argue with you. Alright, we have 3 characters left with Hisabeth, Noir and Baccarola. Let's talk about Baccarola. Obviously she belongs to the archetype of Impromptu. She's the main DPS there, she's irreplaceable, and that nets her a spot in the A tier easily, right? No question about it. Then we have Hisabeth. Yeah, Hisabeth is a little bit of a problem. I personally would put her in C, even though like in version 2.8 and then in version 3.0, these characters that are only slottable, they lose a shit ton of value, because you cannot slot her into the Blood Ember team, you cannot slot her into the Dynamo team. I mean, there you could until Sharon releases, but she would not be the best slot in there. You can't play her in Impromptu, you know? You shouldn't play her in Follow-Up. And then she is kind of viable in the Ultimate team, but also she doesn't have a spot there. Like, the point is, where would you ever play this Hisabeth? She just doesn't belong anywhere. You would have just pulled for her before the Kip Arena release and before the 2nd anniversary, and then for her to be a mediocre slottable character, I mean, what the hell, man, right? I will drop her even down to D tier. What saves her from F is that she is strong individually, and you would make a mistake putting her into the team, but in a lot of teams it wouldn't be a mistake to put her in. So yeah, I mean, whatever, right? And the same goes for Noah. She has this niche played together with Alan Lee. She is outclassed in her archetype, which is the ultimate archetype, by Recoleta, and by even Centurion is better, right? So what's the reason to ever play Noir? You could argue, hey, she is a very respectable damage dealer when it comes to the plant afflators, and you are exactly right, and that's why she's not F. That's why she's D. And yeah, you should probably, if you want to play plant characters and you want to deal damage, you are best off playing Willow. So there we go. Now, oh wait, I've totally forgot about these two here. We have Druvis and 37. My bad. They are easy to place to. They are also both in the B tier. Man, the D tier. Sorry, not B. D. Man, the D tier is pretty stacked. There are a lot of characters here. But, you know, Druvis, even in version 3.0 with her receiving her second Euphoria, that second Euphoria is just as her first Euphoria was, like completely, utterly useless, because no synergy with Fire Sprouts, and in the damage tests it clearly showed they don't deal enough damage. Like, it's not even really close, honestly. So a completely useless character. She has this little bit of a niche with her Petrify ability though, so in some content and some stages she's actually quite clutch, and that's why I wouldn't put her in F. Then 37, I love 37, I have a huge bias for her. I love to play with her, but she belongs to this follow-up archetype team, and yeah, same with like Anyonala and Liang. You shouldn't use 37, because yeah, what you play is Geo Pickles, right? I mean, there's no reason to ever use her other than you use her as a substitute, just as Liang and Anyonala. It's exactly the same story, you know? Individually, quite a strong character, pretty good archetype to be a substitute for, and those are the reasons that save her from the F tier. And now, finally, I'm sure, last but not least, we have the new character that just released, Sharon. And can you tell where this character belongs? You are completely right. This is without any question an absolute giga busted S tier character. 100% replaceable, 100% future proof, and he could, there will be a little bit of testing needed, but he could seriously do it, that the Dynamo team becomes better than the Blood Ember team if the Blood Ember team does not have Sentinel, right? If the Blood Ember team doesn't have Sentinel and uses Eternity, but the Dynamo team is like best in slot and has Sharon, the Dynamo team could actually be better than the Blood Tide team, and that is absolutely ridiculously incredible. And yeah, Sharon is a must-have, a must-pull character if you play Dynamo. And irreplaceable second best team, very close to first spot actually. He brings this team close to be the best team in the game, and that is an S tier, no question about it. And it's my tier list, guys. Here you have a little bit of a better look because of a little bit higher quality when it comes to the picture. And yeah, now I explained why every single character belongs to every single rank that we have here. I give arguments for everything, and this is how you should look at characters, this is how you should rank the characters. Some things here are, of course, when we talk about the lower ranks, are a little bit debatable. You know, you could switch the ranks from Mercuria and put her into B and put Muldir into the C tier, but with how things stand in version 3.0, I put more value onto Muldir because I think providing ultimate might is a little bit more valuable than actually providing crit. But yeah, I mean, you see those two, for example, you could switch them. You could switch Regulus with Voyager or put Regulus into the same tier as Voyager. But what you can't do, absolutely can't do ever, right, is change the S tier. You could move someone from B down if you really wanted to, like the Muldir, as I just said, for example, right? Maybe you don't put so much value onto Pickles, you know, then you move him to C, because sure, why not? So yeah, but with all of this being said, I hope that video was fun and informative. If you like Reverse1999 content in general, please consider leaving a follow on my channel, I would really appreciate that. But until next time, take care of yourselves, have a great day, and we love this game.